Hey everyone, it's Clint. Welcome to Sweetcast. There's two videos I really want to make today. I don't know, I might make both. We'll see. Yeah, essentially yesterday was New Year's Eve, and so I spent my time, with my family, with my kids. We did some fun stuff. I was never home to do any videos. Problem is, I still did check in with other videos, and there was all I want to do a video on the J. Scott Campbell stuff because it's just so interesting how all the chips landed. And I think they continue to land, so I might do that as well. But also, I think it boils down to people getting bored. It's funny because people have this tendency to create an echo chamber online. Once there's so much friction, and I get it, like you can only handle so much. You already know what your opinions are. You already know the kind of stuff that you like. And so it's kind of natural that people create a world of their own on the internet, and people can live, even within comics, you can live in a totally different world, totally different landscape, because you sort of close yourself off from everything that you don't like to hear. And so this video is going to be talking a little bit about Bleeding Cool. Here's my segue because J. Scott Campbell did respond. So Bleeding Cool posted this list of top 100 powerful. I was going to go through the list, but the thing is, I looked at this, I remember the same list coming out last year and thinking, this is kind of an arbitrary list. Again, I look at it this year, and again, it's completely arbitrary. The point that J. Scott Campbell made, he said, oh no, I guess I don't move the needle anymore. Egad, whatever will I do? And that's because apparently he was on the list last year. Now he's not on the list. How you go from being one of the top 100 most powerful, which is a weird term, say most influential, say popular, like whatever you're gonna do, but why powerful? What kind of power are you measuring exactly? Really what this list ends up being is Bleeding Cool makes a list of people that they want to say something about, and sometimes it's good things, some butt kissing, and sometimes it's just a slight comment. Either way, they're just going to pick a bunch of random 100 people that happen to be on their mind at the moment. And why do they do this? Because it gets them attention. That is all. That's all it comes down to. And just like this, so they posted this was just yesterday, December 30th. Readers criticize Marvel Comics for shoehorning racial politics into Silver Surfer. Why I read that poorly. So this is one of those tongue-in-cheek, supposed to be, I don't know, it's not even funny, just supposed to be sarcastic, so you read through it and you're like, oh, wah, wah. And essentially what the Bleeding Cool does here, Rich Johnson does, is cherry pick an issue from the massive history of comics that does get political, and probably a little bit more political for the time, perhaps. The point that he's making is that comics have always been political. We were just too stupid to realize it at the time. Now, really, this is how you build a straw man. This is how you isolate yourself and dig yourself into your own point of view and your own perspective. The thing is, if you're actually running a news site or a YouTube channel or anything else like that, what you want to see is the opposition. You want to see the other opinion, the other perspective, because that's going to give you content to make something about. This is why my alternate Twitter account, that's literally at Clint Stoker, is I'm just following a whole bunch of creators that I know that I disagree with extremely, and that's because I want to know what they have to say, and I want a place where they don't all have to be blocked. I want to see what's going on over there, because that's how I can make interesting content. The way that Bleeding Cool handles this, and I'll also say, who is that stupid site? Nerd Rant, oh man, I made a video of them last week. I totally forget. But the way that they handle it is by totally blatantly making a straw man argument of we're sick of you ramming your politics in our comics, by just, again, cherry picking out examples of when there were racial politics in comics. Nobody's denying that there have been politics in comics. The thing is, when a huge majority of the comics, or you can tell that the official stance of Marvel Comics, tell me I'm wrong, okay? Marvel Comics, what do you think is their official stance on something like gun control or abortion or immigration or taxes or the wealthy, or, you could go over any number of things and you're not going to be left with any ambiguity. Wow, I'm having a hard time talking this morning. You're not going to be left with any question. There's no question. You know how they land on things. Not only that, it'd be one thing knowing like, oh, they have a political point of view. I was still going to read their comics and enjoy it. No. Things are a little bit different because in these examples, they'll have literal the guys burning a cross and they've got baseball bats like ready for a fight and chains. Okay, this is the example, and the title here was that Spider-Man was fighting with Antifa, helping Antifa versus these poor guys because there's good people on both sides or whatever. This is the stupid point they're making. You can't make a straw man argument that is this obvious and be taken seriously. And so often, and I've seen the same thing with like the Daily Show and whatever they've got on now. The same thing with these Comedy Central shows. What they'll do is they'll make a straw man argument, but because it's just laden in sarcasm, it's a joke. I'm not meant to take this seriously, but the point still sticks and they're still right. Even though they're straw manning, because they said it sarcastically, therefore it's okay. It's not a bad way to argue. I don't know anybody that defends cross-burning people with chains and bats and sticks ready for a fight. This is ridiculous. This would be racist, violent, whatever, blatantly. And I'll bet you if you ask these random fictional people in this crowd, they would probably agree with you. The straw man is, and this is what Bleeding Cool does all the time, is Marvel putting blatant left-wing Antifa politics in their Spider-Man comics. So they're basically trying to compare this image to today. So therefore, if you were somebody that was beat up by Antifa, then you're racist. Essentially, they're comparing the two. So you could look at all the pictures of the people, generally Trump supporters, but really anybody that doesn't like Antifa. I've watched to a huge extent the videos on all over that I could find on YouTube, a lot of Tim Pool's stuff where he would cover Antifa protests and he would go over what exactly they are doing. And generally speaking, the majority of people that Antifa didn't like were not race or out and out racist. Now you can get into the thing where it's like, well, who knows? They're secret racist. Why? The whole secret racist thing is ridiculous, especially when you compare it to all of the Charlottesville stuff, and that's always what gets brought up here. And in fact, he even mentions here they're good people on both sides or something like that. That was in reference to what Trump said at the Charlottesville disaster. But you know what? You know what else is different? Let's grant you this. There have been politics in comics. Did you know that Captain America, not only did he punch Hitler, but he, apparently like body slammed. I don't know if he's going to, knock this dude's head into the ground. Communists. Captain America fought communists. Communists have been fought in comics a lot. How many communists are fought in comics today? Does that ever get brought up? Ever? Now, generally speaking, I'd prefer just to read good stories that don't have overt political messages that are trying to be forcibly rammed down my throat. However, I think it might be interesting if you had a character that reflected some of what is actually going on. If you want to be timely and you want to look at some of just the stuff that's going on in comics, why not make one of your superheroes get red pilled? That would actually be interesting. And maybe see the world from a different perspective than Marvel Comics' official perspective. You could do this, and I get it. Like, it would make a lot of people really upset. It would really shake the boat. But if your plan is to subvert expectations and what you're trying to do is challenge people with new ideas and things like that, why not challenge with new ideas? If that really is your goal as a publisher, and if that really is what sites like Bleeding Cool are fighting for, why is this side being ignored? Commie smashing? Why not? You could do some commie smashing if you're into politics. The truth is, and I think we both know it, is that is an unacceptable opinion to have. That is not how it used to be for Marvel Comics. When Marvel was doing things like this and talking about racial politics, maybe it was a little bit more edgy. Right now, it's just virtue signaling. That's all it is. Anyway, so I'm going to round off this video. Thanks for watching. Really, really appreciate it. If you have not signed up for the Downcast mailing list, I strongly suggest doing so. We're going to be launching really soon. I'm in high gear campaign mode. We're preparing to launch the second and final installment of Downcast. This will finish the story arc. So please do join the mailing list. And yes, you will be able to get the first book of Downcast if you haven't got it yet. Joining the mailing list is a great way to go. So thanks very much, and I will see you next time.